With the ring gone and their friendship restored, life slowly returned to normal for Henry and Joseph. Every morning followed the same routine. Wake up. Drink tea. Talk about life. Then leave for work. On the surface, everything seemed peaceful. But beneath that calm routine, both men were fighting battles of the heart. Joseph's battle ended first. One evening, as they sat eating dinner together, Joseph casually dropped a bombshell. "I'm getting married to Sheila." Henry nearly dropped his spoon. "What?" Joseph smiled. "I'm serious. I've been waiting for the perfect moment for years. Then I realized something: there is no perfect moment." Henry stared at him. Joseph looked happier than he had in months. For a moment, Henry felt jealous. Not because Joseph was getting married, but because Joseph seemed certain about his future. Henry wasn't certain about anything anymore. Joseph noticed his distant expression. "Is everything okay, man?" he asked. "You've been somewhere else these past few weeks." Henry sighed deeply. "Congratulations, brother." Then he shook his head. "I met another girl." Joseph laughed immediately. "There we go again." "No, listen. This one is different." "Different how?" Henry leaned back in his chair. "Beautiful. Educated. Smart. My type." Joseph's eyes widened. "Oh. Tell me more." Henry's excitement faded. "I only saw her once, on the train." Joseph blinked. "And?" "She got off before I could tell her how I felt." Joseph burst into laughter. "You fell in love with someone after one train ride?" Henry looked away. Maybe it sounded ridiculous. But Gina had left an impression on him unlike any woman before. Ever since that day, her smile haunted him. The way she spoke. The way she laughed. The confidence in her eyes. Everything about her felt perfect. And now she was gone. Meanwhile, Diana kept asking about marriage. Every conversation eventually led to the same question. "When are we getting married?" Henry hated those conversations. The truth was simple. He didn't love Diana anymore. But he didn't have the courage to tell her. Instead, he kept delaying. Making excuses. Avoiding the truth. Deep inside, he hoped she would eventually figure it out herself. A few days later, Henry did something that even surprised him. He went looking for Gina. The search led him to several government offices. According to Gina, she worked for the government. Unfortunately, that information wasn't nearly enough. Government offices were huge. Thousands of people worked there. Receptionists looked at him strangely as he walked from desk to desk. "Excuse me, do you know someone called Gina?" Henry asked the question on several desks. One receptionist finally sighed. "Maybe you should call her." Henry froze. Call her? If only he had her number. Without responding, he turned and walked away. Outside the building, frustration consumed him. Maybe Gina lied. Maybe she didn't work for the government. Maybe Gina wasn't even her real name. But why would she lie? The questions followed him all day. Lost in thought, he wandered through the city without paying attention. Before he realized it, he had walked past the railway station where they first met. The place brought back memories instantly. The train. The conversation. The smile. The goodbye he never expected. And the opportunity he never took. Back at the apartment, another surprise awaited him. Henry inserted his key into the door. It opened immediately. Unlocked. Strange. Maybe Joseph was already home. He stepped inside. Immediately, something felt different. The aroma of roasted meat filled the apartment. Henry stopped. Joseph never cooked like this. His heart began racing. Who was inside? Maybe Sheila was visiting. That would explain the food. He walked cautiously toward his bedroom. The door was slightly open. Another surprise. He pushed it open slowly. And froze. A woman stood inside. The room looked completely transformed. The bed was perfectly arranged. New pillows decorated the mattress. The floor sparkled. Everything looked fresh. Then the woman turned around. And smiled. Diana. For several seconds, Henry simply stared. She looked different. The outfit was new. The hairstyle was different. Her confidence seemed stronger. Most importantly, she looked beautiful. Almost breathtaking. Diana walked toward him and wrapped her arms around him. Hi, my love. Henry remained frozen. Why are you here? He finally asked. Diana ignored the question. Instead, she kissed his cheek. And smiled. For the first time in months, Henry felt confused. Very confused. Because standing before him was the woman he had spent months trying to avoid. Yet suddenly she seemed attractive again. The irony wasn't lost on him. He couldn't find the woman he wanted. And now the woman he didn't want was standing in his bedroom looking perfect. His mind spun with questions. Could he learn to love Diana again? Should he stop searching for Gina? Was this fate trying to tell him something? He had no answers. Dinner that evening felt different. Joseph couldn't stop praising Diana's cooking. This is amazing. Best meal I've had in months. Thank you, Diana. Henry forced a smile. Inside, he was annoyed. A few weeks ago Joseph had agreed that Diana wasn't right for him. Now one delicious meal had completely changed his opinion. Traitor. At least that's what Henry thought. After dinner, Diana stayed the night. But something unusual happened. She never mentioned marriage. Not once. The same woman who had pressured him endlessly was suddenly talking about business ideas. She spoke excitedly about finding a shop, selling merchandise, building a future, starting her own company. Henry listened. But mentally, he was somewhere else. He was back on the train with Gina. Every detail replayed inside his head. Why couldn't he find her? Did she lie? Was she hiding something? Or was he simply chasing a fantasy? Days passed. The mystery only grew. Meanwhile, Diana became more independent. She seemed less interested in marriage. Less interested in demanding attention from Henry. Ironically, that made Henry uncomfortable. The less she chased him, the more curious he became. One morning, while having breakfast with Joseph, Henry brought it up. Diana wants to start a business. Joseph nodded. That's good. Good? Of course. At least she won't depend entirely on you. Henry frowned. She didn't even ask me for money. Joseph laughed. Isn't that a good thing? No. Joseph nearly choked on his tea. What do you mean no? Henry leaned forward. She just informed me. So? How does a girlfriend start a business without asking for money? Joseph stared at him. Then burst out laughing. The laughter echoed through the apartment. My friend, listen to yourself. Henry folded his arms. I'm serious. Joseph wiped tears from his eyes. You wanted her to stop depending on you. Yes. You wanted her to stop talking about marriage. Yes. Now she's doing exactly that. Yes. And you're upset? Henry opened his mouth, then closed it again. Joseph shook his head. You don't know what you want. Maybe he was right. Maybe he didn't. The dangerous word returned. Maybe. Maybe Diana had finally understood his feelings. Maybe she was preparing to move on. Maybe she no longer needed him, or she was dating someone else. And somehow that bothered him. Yet despite all that confusion, Gina remained in his thoughts. Her memory refused to disappear. One morning, he finally asked Joseph, "Is your brother still working in government?" Joseph looked up. "Yeah. Can he help me find someone?" Joseph already knew where the conversation was going. "Gina?" Henry nodded. Joseph sighed dramatically. "Mr. Hunter, why? Oh, you really can't let this girl go." "I love her." "You met her once." "I love her." Joseph laughed. "Fine." He pulled out his phone. After scrolling through his contacts, he handed it over. "My brother Nathan." Henry called immediately. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. The outcome? Disappointing. Nathan couldn't help. Thousands of people worked in government departments. Without a surname. Without a department. Without a phone number. Without any details. Finding Gina would be nearly impossible. When the call ended, Henry sat quietly. Reality finally settled in. Maybe Gina wasn't meant to be found. Maybe she was just another illusion. Like the mysterious ring that had consumed his thoughts. A dream. A distraction. A possibility that never became reality. For the first time, Henry considered giving up. Not because he wanted to, but because he had no choice. Gina had vanished. And perhaps the only person still standing beside him was Diana. The woman he claimed he no longer loved. The woman who was changing right before his eyes. The woman who might soon stop waiting for him forever. And as Henry sat there staring into space, one terrifying thought entered his mind. What if he realized Diana's value only after losing her? And for the first time in a long time. That possibility scared him. To be continued. If you like my stories, like and share. If you are new to the channel, kindly subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss when I post new stories.